You know that quiet moment before a meeting when everyone pretends to check their emails but really just waits to see who's in charge? That used to be me. For 3 years, I ran every Monday stand-up at our little software agency. 8 developers, one creative lead, and my boss Nolan, who loved to say we're a family, right before slashing budgets. When I started, we were 6 weeks away from losing our biggest client, a SaaS company that paid for half our payroll. Nolan panicked. I fixed it. Rewrote the deployment plan, stayed up 4 nights straight, delivered on time. They renewed for 2 years. After that, my name went on the master services agreement as key person. I didn't ask for it. The client's legal team did. It was their condition after Nolan almost tanked the contract. I just signed the papers and went back to work. That was a year ago. Now Nolan walks into our Monday meeting with someone new. "This is Maya," he says, smiling like he's presenting a new car. "She's going to shadow our delivery flow." She sits down next to me, bright red notebook, perfume too heavy for a tech office. I nod politely. She's the new marketing consultant, or so he says. By Wednesday, she's in every project chat. By Friday, she's replying to client messages that were meant for me. I tell myself it's temporary. Nolan dates a lot of consultants. Most last about 2 quarters. But this one starts using words like handover and alignment. At one point, she tells me, "You should loop me in on approvals so we can transition smoothly." Transition what? She smiles like I've said something funny. The next week, Nolan schedules a casual sync with me and HR. The HR manager, Shelley, greets me with that pre-recorded voice people use when they already know the outcome. "Grant, we've noticed some performance overlap lately. Maya's been filling in on some of your client calls." Without my consent, I interrupt, calm, not angry yet. "Right," she says, blinking. "We're trying to streamline communication. The client seems comfortable with her, so we were thinking maybe you'd like to take on a new internal project, something more strategic. Translation, you're being replaced, but we'll call it growth." I look at Nolan. He can't hold my gaze. "This isn't personal," he says. "It never is," I answer. They slide a paper across the table, something about mutual separation with transition pay. It's worded like a favor. I flip it over, glance once, and put it back. "You'll get my response in writing." Nolan exhales, relieved, like that's the end of it. It isn't. That afternoon, I walk back to my desk, open my drive, and pull up the contract I wrote when everything was burning last year. Section 4.2. No substitution of key person without written consent of key person. Section 6.1. All deployment credentials and source assets remain under custody of key person until termination fees are settled. It's not arrogance, it's structure. I built this clause to protect the client. Now it protects me. Maya walks by, humming something pop and cheerful. "Big day?" she asks. "Not yet," I say. That night, I stay late. I don't pack my things. I just print 1 page from the contract, the one with my name repeated 3 times, and slide it into my bag. At home, my inbox lights up with a new message from HR. "Please confirm your last day so we can process final pay." I don't reply. Instead, I open a blank document and start writing the first letter of my career that doesn't include the word sorry. Because here's the thing Nolan never realized. When you hand someone the keys to your biggest client, you should read the lock first. And this was just the beginning. By Tuesday morning, my email access was temporarily limited for security adjustments. That's corporate for "you're out," but we haven't said it yet. I still had my laptop, though. Still had the code. Still had the keys. Maya was sitting at my desk when I walked in. Not beside it. In it. She looked up with that half-apologetic smile people wear when they already rehearse the scene. "Oh, Grant, Nolan said you were moving to the internal product build." I didn't correct her, just nodded, set my coffee on the edge of my no-former desk, and said, "Be careful with the staging environment. It doesn't like shortcuts." She blinked, confused, then laughed like I'd told a joke. Nolan called me into his office 10 minutes later. Grant, let's keep this professional, he said. I know this feels sudden, but Maya's a better cultural fit for where we're heading. Where's that? I asked. He leaned back, smiling too wide. More agile, more creative energy, less bureaucracy. Bureaucracy? I repeated. You mean contracts? His smile flickered. Look, man, we'll pay your unused vacation days. You can even list yourself as a consultant if you want. Win-win. I nodded slowly. Send that to me in writing. He relaxed, thinking that meant I agreed. It didn't. When I got home, I pulled out the MSA and read every word again, like a priest rereading scripture before the storm. Section 7.3. In case of breach by substitution without consent, client may suspend payment until key person provides written confirmation of transition. Perfect. The next morning, I drafted 2 emails, one to HR. Subject: clarification of status. As of today, I have not tendered resignation, nor agreed to role substitution. Please confirm current employment status before I proceed with ongoing deliverables. The other to the client's project manager. Subject: continuity notice per section 4.2 and 7.3 of our MSA. Please be advised that I have not consented to substitution on the account. To maintain compliance, I will temporarily withhold deployment credentials in escrow until written clarification is received from both parties. No anger, no threat, just paper. 2 hours later, the client's legal team replied, "Thank you for the heads up. Please refrain from authorizing any code changes until this is resolved." Translation: stop everything. By Friday, Maya's first deployment failed. The staging site crashed mid-demo. She blamed the new access system. Nolan called me 3 times that afternoon. I didn't answer. Instead, I sent him a short message. Hi, Nolan. Per the MSA, all deployment credentials remain under my custody until fees and substitutions are approved in writing. Please review the contract we both signed. Have a good weekend. Grant. No emojis. No best regards. Just the rope tightening around his own signature. An hour later, HR emailed, "Please return company property by Monday to complete your exit process." I replied with a single PDF attached. The MSA page, highlighted in yellow. Until formal termination is executed and all dues settled, I remain the key person of record for the AlphaTech account. Returning equipment prematurely would constitute breach of custodial obligation under Clause 6.1. Shelley from HR called me personally. "Grant, I'm not sure I follow." "It's okay," I said quietly. "You're not supposed to. Just forward it to legal." There was a pause, then, "Are you threatening us?" "No. I'm documenting you." That night, my phone buzzed. Maya again. "Hey, Nolan said you're holding the keys hostage. Can we just talk?" "Talk about what?" "About how to make this smoother for everyone." I looked at the timestamp. 9:47 p.m. I was halfway through a beer. "Tell Nolan to read the contract," I said, and hung up. The next morning, I woke up to 12 unread messages from Nolan, mix of fake patience and rising panic. The last one just said, "Client froze payment. Need to fix this now." I didn't respond. Instead, I sent one more note, brief, professional, to the client's finance team. This confirms credentials are held in compliance with Section 7.3 pending resolution of unauthorized substitution. No further action will be taken without your written instruction. 10 minutes later, the client's project manager replied, "Understood. Keep everything as is until further notice. Appreciate your transparency, Grant." I exhaled slowly. Not triumph. Just relief. That's the thing about paperwork. It doesn't shout. It just waits for someone to trip. And Nolan, he'd just started running. But that was just the beginning. By Monday morning, the office chat was a graveyard. Nobody tagged me anymore, but the whispers reached me anyway. People forwarding screenshots, little holy shit DMs from the few who still had my number. Maya's first solo sprint had collapsed. The staging server expired because its SSL cert was tied to my escrow key. Their backup environment pointed to a deprecated branch. The client's QA couldn't log in for testing. At 10:12 a.m., Nolan sent a one-line email. "Need your help fixing this mess." I didn't reply. At 10:35, another came. "We'll pay you hourly if you can just get us back online." I typed out my answer carefully, word for word. "Hi, Nolan, per section 9.1. I am not authorized to engage in remedial work without a reinstated engagement letter and signed waiver of liability. Please coordinate through legal. Regards, Grant." He didn't reply to that one. Instead, he tried to force a deploy himself. I saw the attempt in the log, the same credentials rejected with unauthorized key access. It was like watching someone slam their car key into the wrong ignition. By noon, this client's CFO had joined the email chain. At 12:08, a line appeared that changed everything. "Until this matter is resolved, all payments to Nolan Digital will be suspended." Silence followed. Even my inbox went still, like the system itself was holding its breath. At 2 p.m., I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. "Grant?" "Speaking. This is Lisa, counsel for AlphaTech. We'd like a quick chat about the current MSA situation." I closed my laptop and smiled. "Of course." We spoke for 20 minutes. She asked about access, version control, deployment flow, and whether I'd be open to continuing direct support once things stabilized. I didn't sell myself, I just told the truth. She already knew the rest. That night, Nolan finally called from his personal cell. His voice was cracked, tired, the bravado gone. "You happy now?" he said. "Not really," I answered. "But I'm compliant." "You think this is funny? You're destroying what we built." I leaned back in my chair. "I didn't destroy it, Nolan. You did. I just stopped holding it up." He hung up without another word. 2 days later, a courier dropped a thick envelope at my door, termination of employment. Effective immediately, no severance, for cause. I didn't even open it fully, just scanned the first paragraph, saw the word terminated, and smiled. Perfect. That meant the breach was official. Because under Section 11.4, in the event of unilateral termination of the key person without written consent, the agency forfeits residual claim to all IP developed under the MSA. The code was no longer his. The intellectual property reverted to the client, and until payment cleared, it was held under my custodianship. That night, I sent one more email to the client's legal team. Per Section 11.4, the agency's unilateral termination activates Clause 11.5. Temporary custodial rights for key person pending reassignment. Attached is my readiness confirmation to continue maintenance under a direct contract. The reply came the next morning. Understood. Expect an amended contract proposal today. I didn't even need to breathe. The air was already lighter. At 3 p.m., it arrived. A short, clean retainer. 9,000 month, 6-month term. Renewable direct deposit. I read it twice. Sent it to my attorney for review. She made one change. Added a single sentence. This agreement supersedes all prior arrangements with Nolan Digital. I signed it digitally and leaned back. Somewhere in the city, Nolan must have gotten the same email from the client. Payment suspension confirmed. I pictured him pacing his office, Maya in the doorway, realizing that the same paper he'd ignored was now carving holes through his company's balance sheet. Later that evening, a text from an unknown number came in. "You won. Happy?" "Maya." I didn't reply, because it wasn't about winning. It was about balance. For months I'd been treated like a replaceable part. Now they understood what the part actually did. That night, I poured a glass of whiskey, opened my laptop, and checked the new project folder from AlphaTech. It had my name on it. Not Nolan Digital, not Maya, just Grant, Dev. I laughed once quietly and closed the screen. They thought I was gone. I wasn't. The silence after a storm has its own weight, not heavy, just still. A week after I signed the direct contract with AlphaTech, my phone finally stopped lighting up. No more blocked calls, no frantic emails from HR, no urgent Slack notifications I wasn't supposed to see. Just quiet. When you've lived months inside tension, quiet feels foreign. I spent the first morning of my new contract exactly how I'd wanted to spend the last, at Nolan Digital, alone, with coffee that didn't taste like exhaustion. By noon, the first transfer hit my account. Clean retainer, no middlemen, no deductions for agency overhead. Just my name and a number that proved the fight was worth it. The same day, a letter arrived from Nolan's attorney, thin, defensive, and already too late. It accused me of interference with business operations and retention of company assets. I read it once, smiled, and attached it to a reply with a single page from the MSA, Section 11.4, Custodial Rights Upon Breach. I didn't need to add anything. Paper speaks louder than outrage. 3 days later, the client's finance department copied me on a message to Nolan. Due to breach and unpaid balances, liquidated damages clause has been triggered. Total owed, $74,800 payable within 30 days. That was the number I'd written into the contract back when Nolan thought legal boilerplate meant filler. Now it meant debt. Maya left the company the following week. Someone forwarded me her goodbye post on LinkedIn, something about new beginnings and creative healing. I didn't react. She wasn't my villain, just another person who thought charm could outpace structure. The last time Nolan reached out, it was through a 2-line text. Hope you're happy. We're shutting down the office. I typed and erased a dozen versions of an answer before settling on the truth. I'm at peace. He didn't respond. I mailed back the company laptop, wiped, sealed, and tracked, because even endings should be neat. When the courier asked if there was anything fragile inside, I said, not anymore. The next morning I met with Alphatech's new CTO. He was young, calm, and smart enough to keep business personal and personal distant. Appreciate you holding things together, he said. We were ready to pull the plug on the whole platform. You just needed someone who read the paperwork, I replied. He laughed. We pushed a clean deployment that afternoon. New branding, new domain, same architecture. My architecture. The build went live without a single error. For the first time in months, I wasn't waiting for a message that might undo everything. When the confirmation email hit my inbox, it was short and perfect. Thank you. That was all I'd ever wanted. A complete sentence that didn't need defense. That evening, I drove past Nolan's old office out of habit. The lights were off. The sign was gone. The glass door had a new sticker, space available. The universe doesn't do irony. It just balances ledgers. I went home, ground fresh coffee beans, and stood by the window while the machine hummed. For the first time in years, I wasn't rehearsing conversations in my head. No imaginary arguments, no unspoken justifications. Just the hum and the simple peace of knowing that what's yours, your work, your dignity, your name, stays yours if you know how to write it down. People think revenge is a shout. It isn't. It's the sound of a door clicking shut while you finally stop knocking. I looked at my reflection in the glass. No triumph, just calm. Behind me, the monitors showed the live site's metrics, stable and green. In another window, a payment confirmation. Deposit received. I closed the laptop. They'd tried to erase me from the company, from the project, from the story. All I did was remind them who signed the last page. And when you own your signature, you never need to raise your voice again.